Today, we gather together for the first time leaders from different churches, ministries, and nonprofit organizations from across the city to engage with us in the vision of serving the most vulnerable populations of youth and families. These leaders were oriented into our Care Portal system and how this tool can be used by both urban and suburban churches to fulfill needs from across the city. You'll hear an in-depth training on why, how, and what churches can do to be a part of this new movement growing in the Southern California area. And we hope that you'll be inspired and encouraged to join us in addressing this biblical mandate of the Gospel of Matthew 25, where Jesus said, "For I was hungry and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger and you did not invite me in. I needed clothes and you did not clothe me. I was sick and in prison and you did not look after me." They also will answer, "Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty, or a stranger, or needing clothes, or sick, or in prison, and did not help you?"
In every community, there are children and families in crisis who need help. But for many, isolation and lack of community resources prevents them from getting the help they really need. And in every community, there are churches and people who care, who want to take action, but what they need is a connection point and support. Care Portal allows child welfare professionals to share real needs in real time through technology. The Care Portal network is already helping children all across the world.
Okay, good, great. So with Care Portal, all the requests that go into Care Portal are anywhere along this grid, from prevention all the way to transition. One way we describe this is it's like there's a river. In this river, there are children that are falling into the river. Maybe they're not being attended to. Maybe their families are distracted because they have so much in their life. And so children are falling into this river, and some of them are going down the river. Some of them are drowning in the river. And at the end of the river, there's a big waterfall. So kids that are transitioning out of care, if we don't intervene as the church, they don't have a chance, to be honest. And many of them have had 7 to 10 placements moving from school to school, community to community, that set them back in schooling. They need people in their lives that will come alongside them and help them when they get opportunities, or help them to get opportunities. And tier 2 is relational. So these are going to be requests that will be going into the system for relational needs. Maybe it's monitoring visits for birth moms that really need to reunify with their kids. You can open up your church and you can provide visitation centers where you could pray over these families and you can encourage them and support them. Or mentoring requests, like the teens that need mentoring. Those are all going to be tier 2 relational requests. Most of the requests going in right now are tier 1, so they're going to be cribs, beds, pack and plays, tangible things that families need to stay together. And eventually, we want to see the network where there's so many churches involved that caseworkers can put in when a child's been detained in a certain zip code. And it goes out to all the churches. We rally the churches to find a home to keep those kids together and in their community. And a lot of this is based on Matthew 25. So Care Portal is a Christian organization. Our heart is to really equip the local churches to work together and to meet needs. So it's based on Matthew 25, where Jesus said, "I was naked and you clothed me. I was hungry, you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me a drink." These are all tangible needs that are met. I was sick and you visited me. You came to me. You had a relationship with me. You cared enough to be in my life. And you welcomed me in. And Jesus said, "Whatever you did for the least of these, you did for me." And so when we serve the least of these, we're serving Jesus. And this is part of a greater strategy that Pastor Pete is part of too now, with the Christian Alliance for Orphans. It's a nationwide organization, actually even worldwide, that's gathering churches and organizations across the world to care for orphans, to care for the vulnerable, and helping to encourage the churches to get on the same page, to work together more, the organizations to work together more, because what we see is that there's one organization over here doing great work with foster youth and transitioning youth, and there's one over here that's doing the same thing and trying to create the same thing that's already been created, and there's one church that's over here and they have a food pantry, but the church down the street doesn't know there's a food pantry. Our heart is to see us all working together, to see a unified church in the city working together, and we're going to be so much more effective when we start to actually join forces, join arms, utilize our resources to work together to reach more kids and families and to bring the gospel to our city. And it does say they'll know we're Christians by our love for one another. So I think that's starting to happen, and we're really excited to see that happen more. And through the CAFO More Than Enough strategy, they found that if we can mobilize 10% of the churches in a city, we will have more than enough foster and kinship families for every child, more than enough adoptive families, more than enough help for biological families to stabilize and reunify, and more than enough wraparound support. That's incredible. Only 10% of the church is actively mobilized and working together, and we could reverse the foster crisis in the city and across the nation. That's what I just said. So here's an example of what it looks like when a request goes into Care Portal. So to clarify, we're working with caseworkers, nonprofits. LA Dream Center is one that's identifying needs across the city. Olive Crest and Safe Families are identifying needs. Saving Innocence is a human trafficking organization that's helping human trafficking victims in the city. We've got school districts that are signing up. A lot of times the school districts are on the front lines identifying children and families that are in crisis. And they've said to me, Rebecca, we would rather call on the churches when we see that a family's in crisis than call CPS and have them removed, have their children removed. So they are so excited that they're starting to put in needs for families. They said, sometimes children start being truant and they're missing school, and we'll call mom and find out that her car's broken down or she doesn't have gas money to get her kids to school, and now all of a sudden we might need to call CPS because her kids aren't going to school. Why don't we put that need in a Care Portal, send it out to all the churches, and there's probably a mechanic in one of the churches nearby that can come in and fix that mom's car. And then we can keep those kids in school and keep them together. So that's our heart, working with the social workers on the front lines of care. They put the need in it, and each need will say the agency that's put in that need. It'll have a request ID and a purpose statement. So this is to help preserve a foster care or kinship placement. It was put in by the Arizona CPS. This is just a great auntie caring for her little 1-year-old nephew, and he needs a pack and play to sleep in. So that was sent out to all of those churches in Arizona to meet that need. And they met that need. And little guy was able to stay with his auntie. So we see Stanley in the middle, that's the child. Our passion is to see the church at the forefront of care. So you see that the churches right there are closest. We want to see the church that's closest to the need be the one meeting the need. Okay? This outer circle is the community. So if there are people in your life that care about kids and families, your neighbors, your business, your boss, I've been starting to train organizations that say, we have the Christian, the America's Christian Credit Union recently said, you know what, we care about kids in our community. Will you come in and train all of our employees to help meet needs of kids and families in our community? I said, sure, let's have them. So they're going to be in the outer community, if they're not a church, helping to meet needs. So they could bring the beds to the local church in the community, and the church delivers that, and is the point of care. So we are raising up care centers across the city. Our goal in Los Angeles is to start with about 3 or 4 in different areas of the city. Pastor Pete is interested in The Rock being one of the care centers. So here's how it would work. Let's say this is the care center with The Rock. We have churches outside, Manhattan Beach, Santa Monica, that want to help. And they don't oftentimes have as much need in their community, but they want to be helpful. So that church can write a check or buy 20 beds and come and bring them down here for The Rock to meet the needs in their community. Our top church in the nation right now is a little urban church in Kansas City that is meeting needs left and right because the other churches in the community is helping them to meet needs. Bringing in, they just wrote them a $25,000 check and said, we trust you to meet needs in your community. You're doing a fabulous job. And so they're just meeting needs, and they're all of a sudden they have all these resources to meet needs in their local neighborhood. And it's pretty incredible to see the potential for that. So we want to see that happen in Los Angeles too. See churches working together more so that they can be more effective, more efficient in ministry, and help more kids and families. So these are all the active community around here. Angel Armies, I don't know if you know Chris Tomlin. He actually helped raise the money to launch Care Portal in Los Angeles. He did a big concert at the Hollywood Bowl and brought foster care awareness. And one night we raised the money to launch Care Portal in Los Angeles. And he's been going across the country and raising awareness and calling the church to start meeting the needs across the country. So that's exciting. Who do we serve? Some people, we're talking with DCFS a lot right now. They want to make sure that churches know that we unconditionally love and serve everyone. So even as a Christian organization, as Christian churches, we serve LGBTQ youth and families. We serve every race, color, gender, everybody. If you want to be part of the Care Portal network, we serve everyone. So just wanted to be clear on that because that's we're passionate about that. And if we find out that there's anyone that's serving and they are discriminating, they'll be removed from the platform. So the process, I talked a little bit about this. There's a family in need. The child welfare worker vets that need. They identify that need, put that need in the system, goes in the Care Portal, sent out to all the local churches within a 15-mile radius of the zip code of that need, and then the church can respond directly to that need. Now, our next update of Care Portal, I'm really excited about, churches can put in needs themselves. So a pastor or someone in leadership can identify, hey, we've got a single mom in our own church right now that could lose her kids into the system, and we as a church need to help her, but maybe you don't have the beds that she needs. You can put that need into Care Portal, send it out to everyone in your church. If your church can't meet it, as long as I approve it, which I will if it's a great request, it'll be sent out to all the churches in your area, and the churches can help you meet that need of people in your own congregation. We also have an app that's coming soon, where caseworkers will have an app, churches will have an app to meet needs and get requests directly through an app. And these are the purpose statements that you'll see when you receive requests. Like I said, it's anything from prevention, helping families, preserving families, to reintegrating a survivor of human trafficking. And again, here's another example of a request that's gone into the system. And you can see that at the bottom with responses, once you click on the request, you can see that there's other churches that have responded to the need. So if another church has responded, maybe they can meet part of the need. You'll see, hey, The Rock can help. They have a pack and play, but they don't have beds. And then you can respond. And I'll show you how you can respond here. Activating my church will send it out to the need to anybody who's signed up in your church to help meet needs. Activating your community will send it to all the churches in the area. and to anyone who signed up to help meet needs. And you can communicate with other churches too. Let's say it's in your neighborhood, this need, it's right down the street from you, but you don't have what you need. You can reach out to another church that might have more resources, but they're in another community, and say, can you help us meet this need? When you push respond, it goes directly to the caseworker who inputted that request, and they give you the information of that family in crisis so that you can go and help them. Okay, I know that's a lot of information. I have little cards I passed out to kind of refresh your memory if you do decide to sign up to be part of Care Portal. How do you do it? First thing you need to do is complete the enrollment form online. Each of you probably have a sheet that tells if you go to careportal.org and sign up your church. And this is considered your orientation, so I'll put your orientation into the system. And then you just there's someone in your church that will receive these emails. So it could be you, could be someone in your community that really cares about their community or local outreach or helping families in crisis. That person will receive an email and be responsible for getting that information out to the church. You can post it on Facebook, you can put it, send emails to people you know. You'll be surprised at how many people want to help meet requests and meet needs. I've been pleasantly surprised at how eager people are to help, but a lot of times they just don't know what the needs are. So these are two key questions to think about. How will you communicate to your congregation? If you have a small church, it could be something as simple as just on a Sunday morning saying, hey, there's a resource that we're signing up to be a part of. There's churches all over the city that are signing up to help serve our city together, and we're going to be part of this. So you might start getting emails from me, and just let your congregation know. If they know what they're receiving, it'll be a lot easier. If you do a sermon on it, then they get really excited and pumped and they get the vision for it. That's our best case scenario, is when the pastors really get on board. You could do it once a week. And we don't expect you to meet every need that comes into your inbox. If every church did a little and met one need a month, we could see amazing things happen. And I can go through this with anyone afterwards too. I have my computer back there. I can help you sign up your church. I can help walk you through. There's different ways that you can sign your church up. Some are, easier for you. Some people want more control. For instance, if you sign up a lot of people in your church, some churches have 200 people that are serving on their response team, and they want to be the point person that's communicating with the caseworker. Some people say, I don't have time, just let the people in my church all serve. If they're signed up, I want them to get the request directly and be able to communicate. So there's different settings that you can do. My favorite one is enabling groups, especially for some of the larger churches in the city that have small groups that meet across the city. They can meet needs right there in their local zip code. We want you to always bring someone with you when you're meeting needs. These are oftentimes really vulnerable situations, families, single moms in crisis. And so for your protection, for their protection, we want you to always go in twos. Avoid assumptions. I don't think this group is going to have problems, but sometimes they have trainings in suburban areas, or they don't quite understand if they're meeting needs. Maybe they come in thinking they know the situation, or they know why this family's in crisis, and really they don't. They don't know the whole situation. If you haven't been in that situation, you don't know what it's like. So we want to come in with a heart of service, a heart of compassion, and ideally, if this isn't your community, and then you're meeting the need, find a church in that community. If we have a church in Malibu that's dying to meet requests, and there are some, the Palisades, reach out to Pastor Pete, say, hey, why don't you be the hands and feet in your community, because you know this community. And then engage in additional needs. Our goal is connection. Many of these families are isolated. They've been hurt by the church. They haven't had good experiences oftentimes. We want to see that change. So if you're bringing mom just a bed and you look around and notice she has no couch, she doesn't have a table, she doesn't have any decorations for Christmas, maybe you could say, hey, is there anything else that you need? You know, do you want a Christmas tree, or do your kids need help at Christmas? Engage another, if you can, just to make connection. That's what we'd love to see, is more of churches wrapping around and walking alongside families. You can go on careportal.org, find out just about any of this information. There's resources. We've served about 50,000 children so far, just in a few years, and it's growing exponentially right now across the country, which is really exciting. Our goal in Los Angeles is to have 100 churches signed up, enrolled, trained, and meeting needs all over the city the first year. And our 5-year goal is to have 500 churches serving across the city, working together, meeting needs. So I pulled this from Colorado. This is just an example. Each county you can pull up on a map through careportal.org. You can see how many churches are involved in serving. You can pull up needs in that community. You can go right now and look in Los Angeles. If I had my laptop, I would show you. Or if you want to pull it up, Pastor? If you pull up careportal.org and zoom into Los Angeles, that'd be great. And there's other ways, businesses are getting involved as county sponsors and helping to, I plan on going to IKEA and seeing if they'll give us beds every month. So there's organizations that want to serve and help. So this is not CarePortal's thing. Just to be clear too, we see ourselves at the bottom. We are just the connection platform that empowers local churches, empowers local organizations to meet needs.